2 months ago, y'all watched as Colin sat down and explained in reasoned, level-headed terms that while North American Counter-Strike may have been suffering setbacks, from which it could take years to recover, it certainly wasn't dead. And I think it's fair to say that we all agreed with him. The problem is that since then, things have gotten really bad. Before we get into the story, I've got to let you guys know, we have just recently partnered with TJ Sports to become the official English broadcaster of the Demacia Championship this holiday season. We're going to be live from December 21st to the 27th, bringing you all the League of Legends action that you can handle. So be sure to check it out. Okay, so if you haven't watched the Don't At Me that Colin did back in October about the downfall of CSGO and NA, go and do that, because this one is pretty much a sequel.
Guys, welcome to North American Counter-Strike in 2020, where CSGO esports are completely Eurocentric, where young superstars are calling it quits after basically being relocated an ocean away from their home.
Needless to say, for as much as it's been memed on over the years, I think it's fair to say that things have never looked worse for North American Counter-Strike. Pretty much everything that Colin hinted at came true. Successful, established rosters such as Liquid, EG, and Furia have all relocated to Europe, since that's where all the action is, and those who couldn't, or wouldn't, were left to flounder. The issue is that the tier 2 and 3 lineups who were left behind didn't just struggle, they downright imploded. The best and most tragic example of this is Chaos, an adored up-and-coming side who, after finishing top 4 at ESL One Cologne NA and winning the North American divisions of both IEM Beijing and DreamHack Masters Winter, were stunningly dropped by their org. If there's any testament to the truly dire straits that NACS is in, it's Chaos. These guys won back-to-back regional titles and qualified for Counter-Strike's first international tournament since February, only to find out that they would be both without a home and a banner under which to play. Their demise was confusing, concerning, and sent the community into an understandable state of disarray. If the back-to-back regional champs couldn't stay afloat, who could? Thankfully, I was able to sit down with Chaos's cat-eared commandant, Anthony Vanity Malaspina, and figure out exactly what happened with Chaos, what he envisions as being their next steps, and how grim the future of NACS actually looks. You see, earlier this year, North American Counter-Strike was actually slapping pretty hard. In spite of all the issues that COVID created for Tier 1 orgs who were used to playing on LAN, it actually gave burgeoning lineups like Chaos and Furia a chance to stand out. And they took it.
We were probably the 3rd or 4th best North American team, but we would go to LANs and we would just lose because we never played, like we'd played Liquid in an opening match. It's like, okay, well, we've never played these guys in matches, we've only played them in practice, so like, and it's completely not the same. But now, like, we played Liquid in probably like 10 maps this year online. We played EG in like 6. We played Furia in like 10. It's like, it's not the same. It's like you can scrim them 100 times, but like 5 official maps against them is way more beneficial than 100 scrims.
Unfortunately, it just didn't matter how good they got or how many titles they secured. The region in which they were flourishing just wasn't profitable.
I mean, we knew back in like October, I think we were getting released. And honestly, I kind of like expected it like throughout the year because we were getting like delayed payments and stuff. We never had sponsors, so it was kind of just like investor money and stuff, and that's never gonna last like super long, right? So I mean, kind of sucks, but it is what it is. It wasn't super unexpected given like the circumstances around the year. Like there was just a bunch of like foreshadowing regarding it all, and I mean, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world.
According to Chaos's official statement, and Vanity reaffirmed this, the investors simply wanted to take the org in a different direction. And to be clear, it didn't have anything to do with the age-old optics around Counter-Strike, terrorists, bombs, etc. It was just a question of money.
Some people looked at numbers, saw they were bad, and then, yeah, there goes our jobs, I guess.
The beautiful thing is that this gave way to a genuine outpour of fandom from everywhere. Tremendous support was shown for both Vanity and his teammates. Launders even half-memely suggested that a community-funded org should sign them all in an effort to save NACS.
I don't know. People, for some reason, didn't like me in the past because I was toxic in FPL, I guess. And now all of this, it's like, I don't know. I think people are just, it's definitely nice to see that, especially because like the higher up people that are doing it, it's not just like the random fans, right? There's like casters and like players I've looked up to like most of my career that also outspoke about it. Definitely helped, or definitely like gives motivation, right? But it's like also at the end of the day, it didn't really help, so.
So what are former Chaos's next steps? Well, according to Vanity, things are absurdly up in the air. Now, to be fair, they are getting offers in Counter-Strike. They're just not the kind of offers that he was hoping for.
I mean, we have a few in Counter-Strike, nothing super enticing though. It's like a bunch of other, it's like just orgs like similar size to Chaos, right? It's like, I'm not sure I want to go through that again because it's not consistent money flow, right? I feel like at this point in my career, I've like kind of earned a little bit of stability. I feel like my teammates kind of feel the same.
Crazily enough, Vanity and one of his teammates, Zeppa, did actually get an offer from Gen.G, which would have at least put them on the path to being on a tier 1 team. But then, earlier this week, news broke that Gen.G was putting its entire CSGO roster up for sale.
Which was, I mean, kind of unlucky, I guess, but it is whatever. It's esports, nothing makes sense at all. I don't even think the players knew they were getting dropped until they got dropped, because we were told we would have contracts, and then we see an HLTV article that the roster's released, so I mean, it's whatever.
Now, Vanity did assure me that they're really hoping to not have to break up the band. It just isn't clear whether they'll be able to stay in CS.
I mean, we're looking to stay together, so probably realistically we'll transition to Valorant. I don't know. At this point, there's like a chance we stay in Counter-Strike. I don't know how likely, but who knows? It's all up in the air. It's esports. Someone could come out of nowhere and just offer us a fair enough contract and we stay in Counter-Strike, but I don't know how realistic that is at this point. I feel like it would have happened by now.
Rumors have already started to swell that their 17-year-old prodigy, Leaf, is off to play Valorant for Cloud9. And the question is whether his compatriots will follow suit. Especially since, from what Vanity told me, the offers in Valorant are more enticing than in CS. As Colin rightly observed back in October, one of the biggest threats to North American Counter-Strike, aside of course from COVID, is Valorant. It's hot, it's new, it's being superbly supported by Riot Games, and as Vanity said, it offers a welcome change of pace.
I don't know. It's unlucky, I guess. Like, Counter-Strike probably will still be my favorite game regardless of which game I end up playing. And, I don't know. It'd be nice to have a new, like, start, though. And I think the bigger thing with Valorant for me is I'm not going to be playing the same game a year from now that I am playing today like I will be in Counter-Strike. I've been playing the same game since 2015. Literally nothing has changed. Maybe like the SG and the AUG came in and out of meta for like roughly like 6 months a piece. So I mean, I think that's definitely one of the bigger things pushing me towards Valorant, because I've always been like because I came from Call of Duty initially and I liked the constant change, which is, I mean, most people don't, but I don't know, it was always something I was a big fan of.
Still, it's not actually clear what the future holds for all of these, let's say, non-tier 1 orgs who are rushing to get into Valorant. It's safe to say that Riot will, at some point, provide Valorant with some sort of franchised infrastructure, and not everyone's going to be able to buy in.
I think people are just banking on the fact, like, obviously there's nothing really set in stone yet. They're hoping that Riot treats this remotely like they treat the LCS, which I don't think is super, I don't think it's a bad bet to take, right? But there's these smaller teams that I'm not really sure they're, like, plans. Like, maybe they have a bunch of money, sure. But assuming, if you're not, like, a top 8, top 10 team, I don't see it's realistic that you're going to get into the league. So it's like, what are you paying these absurd salaries for?
Then again, maybe these orgs know something that we don't and will not be left wanting in a year or two's time.
I mean, maybe they have a better plan. Maybe they've talked to Riot, because I've heard Riot's been pretty open regarding it to these orgs. So that could definitely be something that they've had communication with Riot, and they're like, okay, it is realistic that we could get in. But some of these orgs are just confuses me. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of interest from orgs. There's some bigger orgs that are trying to get into the game, which is cool to see for sure, and we're in talks with some.
Anyway, we will leave discussions about the future of Valorant for another video. Probably several. For now, it suffices to say that North American Counter-Strike is in a very rough place. Is it dead? Or at the very least, dying? The instinct is to say no. After all, this is Counter-Strike we're talking about. That said, I really think we shouldn't understate how serious this all is. As someone who was born and raised on the game that later became Valve's other premier esports title, I can tell you, this wouldn't be the first time that they've let one of their North American scenes go to shit.
I mean, you can look at Dota, you can see NA Dota's dead. See Valve treating it the same way. So I mean, it's not unrealistic to say it could be dead within like a year. I don't want it to die. I don't think people realize how bad it is if NACS dies. What happens if we leave? Where do Liquid and EG go for their next players? That's what I don't think people realize. It's like, dude, they're just gonna have to trade. There's not gonna be, unless they just take a random gamble on some kid that's good in FPL, which I mean I don't think is necessarily bad, but it's like they're not gonna have like this like relatively high match experience. Like I'm not saying we're super experienced players, but we definitely have more experience than a lot of these players. So I don't know. I don't think people realize like the impact losing all these like tier 2 players in North America is and potentially will have on the scene in the long run.
Could it be that players like Tarek, Stewie, and Twists are the last of their kind? What happens to top tier free agents like Automatic or stars to be like Obo? What about those hyper-talented 14-year-olds we haven't even heard of yet? Right now, it's hard to say. On the one hand, it does kind of seem like the ones who aren't lucky enough to get contracts in Europe are gonna end up in Valorant. On the other, we're seeing little rays of hope, like XC9 getting signed by a brand new North American org called Extra Salt. But with CSGO's player numbers booming like never before, you never know. Maybe Valve intervenes, maybe they don't. Either way, it is distinctly possible that we see a sort of post-COVID renaissance in North America. But for now, let's just hold our breath, cross our fingers, and hope for the best. Dude, I don't know why you play Counter-Strike against Simple. I don't know why you do it. It's a fucking bad idea.
Oh my god, he got close enough to find the line. He's pushing him. Oh my goodness!
Like, you're gonna have a really bad time. If you load into a map that Simple is in and you're on the other team, like, why buy guns? Like, literally, what's the point? I don't understand why anyone in their right mind would play CS against Simple.